Britain's former Prince Andrew has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. Now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, he was taken into custody in Norfolk just a short while ago. He is accused of allegedly sharing confidential information with the late defender Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, just when you think the grim downfall of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor couldn't get any worse, it does. It does. It really does.
He has been long under question, long under suspicion for his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, a relationship that he appears to have lied about.
A lot of people facing serious wrath, but no one has been yet arrested. That's why this makes this a big deal that Andrew has finally been arrested.
The arrest of a senior member of the royal family is extraordinary. It's considered unprecedented in the modern history of the British monarchy.
So you're here to find out whether the unthinkable has finally happened, whether a man who once stood at the center of royal privilege has actually been taken into police custody? Stay with me, because what unfolded just moments ago is something few people ever believed they would see. This isn't rumor, it isn't speculation, and it isn't another recycled headline. Britain's former Prince Andrew, now formally known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. And yes, it happened today, on his birthday. The news broke quietly at first, almost too quietly for something this seismic. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was taken into custody in Norfolk earlier this morning. For years, his name has been tangled in controversy, questions, denials, and public outrage surrounding his relationship with the late Jeffrey Epstein. For years, people asked whether anything would ever truly happen. For years, the story felt frozen in time. Headlines, interviews, legal settlements, but no handcuffs. Until now. When people talk about downfall, they usually mean reputational damage, lost titles, awkward public statements. Andrew has endured all of that. He stepped back from royal duties. His public image collapsed after that infamous television interview where he claimed he couldn't sweat and couldn't recall key details that many found impossible to forget. He lost patronages, he lost military titles. He even stopped being referred to as His Royal Highness in any meaningful public capacity. But arrest? That was a line most assumed would never be crossed. Yet this morning, 8 officers arrived at his residence on the Sandringham estate. 6 police vehicles in total. One came directly up the front drive. The others positioned themselves around the rear of the property. It was a calculated, coordinated approach. A knock at the front door, while exits at the back were secured. It's a standard policing tactic. Contain first, then engage. No room for confusion, no opportunity for anyone to slip away unnoticed. This was not symbolic, this was procedural. The charge is misconduct in public office. At first glance, that phrase might sound bureaucratic, almost dull, but it carries weight, serious weight. In the United Kingdom, misconduct in public office is a common law offense that can, in the most severe cases, carry a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. This isn't a reprimand, it isn't a technicality. It is a criminal allegation that suggests abuse of authority and breach of public trust. Andrew has consistently denied wrongdoing in relation to allegations surrounding Epstein. He has maintained his innocence, publicly and through legal representatives, in the face of mounting scrutiny. But the arrest announced today does not directly charge him with crimes connected to trafficking or abuse. Instead, investigators are focusing on a very specific chapter of his past, the period between 2001 and 2011, when he served as the United Kingdom's Special Representative for International Trade and Investment. In that role, Andrew was more than a ceremonial figure. He acted as a trade envoy, representing British commercial interests abroad. He met foreign leaders, he attended high-level briefings, he had access to sensitive information regarding trade negotiations, investment opportunities, and strategic economic discussions. That position required discretion and confidentiality. It required a clear boundary between public duty and private association. The allegation now under examination is that Andrew shared confidential government information with Jeffrey Epstein during that time. Emails that surfaced in the broader Epstein document releases suggest that Andrew, or aides acting on his behalf, forwarded details about potential investment opportunities, including references to gold and uranium prospects in Afghanistan. Reports also mention official visit summaries from Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong, and China being circulated beyond appropriate channels. If proven, that would mean information intended strictly for governmental use may have been passed to a private individual with no formal role in British state affairs. It raises the question investigators are now reportedly asking: did Andrew abuse his public office by breaching confidentiality obligations attached to his trade envoy position? Completing matters further are revelations previously highlighted by former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, who pointed to flight logs showing approximately 90 domestic flights within the UK aboard Epstein's private Boeing jet. Some of these flights allegedly occurred after Epstein's 2008 conviction. Passenger logs from certain trips were incomplete, with entries listing occupants simply as female without identification. Those details fueled public suspicion for years, even as official action remained limited. Now, along with the arrest, police have reportedly begun searching 2 properties linked to Andrew. The first is Royal Lodge in Windsor, where he resided for over 20 years before recently vacating. The second is his current accommodation on the Sandringham estate. Investigators are said to be seeking electronic devices, laptops, external drives, archived emails, anything that could clarify what information was shared, when it was shared, and to whom. This is not a courtesy inquiry, it is a criminal investigation with evidentiary objectives. As the legal process begins, attention has also turned to deeply troubling allegations about how certain individuals were granted access to royal residences in the past. According to sources that emerged after the Epstein files became public, Andrew allegedly used a specific phrase when arranging private visits for female guests. The reported code, "Mrs. Windsor will arrive shortly," was allegedly understood by staff as authorization to admit a woman through a discreet entrance, often without formal security logging. If accurate, such a practice would represent not only a breach of protocol, but a potential national security concern. Buckingham Palace and other royal residences are among the most secure buildings in the country. Visitors are typically vetted, logged, and processed through strict procedures. The idea that guests could be admitted without formal record, particularly foreign nationals, raises serious questions about oversight and accountability. Reports suggest some of these visits occurred when the late Queen Elizabeth was away at Balmoral. The image of such activity taking place in her absence has struck many observers as both disturbing and surreal. But again, these elements remain part of ongoing inquiries rather than formal charges. Another layer of scrutiny now extends to Andrew's former royal protective officers. These officers, assigned to ensure his security, were responsible for access control and threat assessment. If questionable visitors entered royal properties under their watch, investigators may examine what they knew and whether any red flags were raised internally. The broader question emerging is whether institutional blind spots allowed problematic behavior to go unchallenged for too long. In the midst of this storm, King Charles III issued a statement. He described learning of the arrest with deepest concern and emphasized that the matter must proceed through the appropriate legal channels. The key sentiment was unmistakable: the law must take its course. For Charles, this situation is uniquely painful. This is not a distant relative, this is his brother. But he is also the reigning monarch, custodian of an institution whose public support has fluctuated sharply in recent years. Any perception of interference would be devastating. By publicly deferring to the legal process, he signaled distance, an acknowledgement that personal ties cannot override criminal investigation. Observers note that Andrew's royal titles and military affiliations were previously stripped, and he was asked to step back from public life. His departure from Royal Lodge reportedly occurred quietly, away from cameras. Those moves were seen as attempts to contain reputational damage. Today's arrest, however, moves the story from reputational crisis to legal accountability. Reactions from advocacy groups have been swift. Representatives connected to survivors of abuse have described the arrest as a symbolic moment, emphasizing that no one, regardless of status, is above the law. For years, critics argued that wealth and connection shielded powerful individuals from consequences. The sight of police vehicles at a royal residence challenges that narrative. Yet the legal road ahead remains uncertain. Andrew may be released on bail pending further proceedings. Formal charges, if they proceed, could take weeks or months to solidify. Investigations of this scale are complex, particularly when they intersect with classified government information and international correspondence. What makes this moment historic is not merely that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested. It is that a senior member of the British royal family has been taken into custody under suspicion of abusing public office. In modern times, that is virtually unprecedented. And the ripple effects extend beyond one individual. Questions linger about the broader network surrounding Epstein. Public figures across politics, business, and media have faced scrutiny over associations and meetings. The arrest of Andrew may intensify calls for transparency in other cases. Whether that results in additional investigations remains to be seen. For now, the image is stark. Police officers at the gates, coordinated entry, a former prince escorted into custody on his 66th birthday. A date that once would have been marked by private celebration instead marks a turning point in a saga that has shadowed the monarchy for years. Some will argue this is long overdue. Others will insist on the presumption of innocence until proven otherwise. Both perspectives now coexist within a legal process that is only just beginning. What cannot be denied is that something shifted today. For years, headlines described allegations, interviews dissected denials, commentators speculated about hidden truths, but tangible legal action remained absent. Today, tangible action occurred. The investigation will continue, evidence will be examined, legal teams will argue, and the public will watch closely. Because beyond the individual case, this moment tests a principle: whether the structures of accountability apply equally even at the highest levels of status and tradition. The story is far from over. Court appearances, potential bail hearings, and further disclosures may reshape the narrative yet again. But the threshold has been crossed. The man once known universally as Prince Andrew now faces the criminal justice system as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. And if today has proven anything, it is that history can pivot in a single morning.